Hey
Thank you,
everyone,
Lieutenant.
before we
Let's
dive
take a
in,
moment to discuss the
hit that
operation over some
subscribe
tea.
button and stay tuned for more exciting content. She walked into the Pentagon briefing room carrying a coffee tray like any junior aide. But when the four-star admiral laughed at her civilian status and told her to salute properly, she rolled up her sleeve. The tattoo on her forearm made every flag officer in the room go dead silent. This is the true story of the highest-ranking sniper in U.S. history, and the day a cocky admiral learned the hard way who really outranked whom. If you're proud of the red, white, and blue and you love your mom and dad who taught you respect, smash that subscribe button right now and let's get into it. The admiral mocked her rank as a joke, until her sniper tattoo revealed who really outranked him. The fluorescent lights of the Pentagon's earring conference room hummed overhead as Rear Admiral Lower Half Marcus Bulldog Harlan strode in 10 minutes late, barking at his aide about the traffic on I-395. It was 7:12 on a gray February morning in 2024, and the weekly Joint Special Operations briefing was already underway. Chairs scraped as every officer in the room shot to attention. Harlan waved them down with the casual arrogance of a man who had worn stars for 8 years and believed the building revolved around him. Carry on, he muttered, dropping a thick folder on the mahogany table. His eyes swept the room and landed on the only person still standing by the credenza. A woman in civilian clothes, olive skirt, pale green blouse, hair in a severe bun, holding a silver coffee service like a waitress. She was pouring for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs himself. Harlan smirked. Sweetheart, nobody told you we wear uniforms in here? Or at least business attire that doesn't look like you're about to mow my lawn. A few nervous laughs fluttered from junior officers who knew better than to stay silent when Bulldog cracked a joke. The woman didn't flinch. She finished pouring for General Austin and placed the carafe down with deliberate calm. Admiral Harlan, General Austin said without looking up from his tablet, voice like gravel wrapped in velvet. Meet Ms. Riley Quinn. She's here from Langley at my personal request. Langley, Harlan repeated, folding his arms so the gold braid on his sleeve caught the light. So she's CIA. Still doesn't explain the old Navy getup. Even spooks usually try to blend in. Riley Quinn turned fully toward him. Her eyes were the color of winter steel. Sir, I blend in when I need to. Today I don't. The room temperature seemed to drop 5 degrees. Harlan's smile thinned. And what exactly is your rank, Miss Quinn, that you feel comfortable talking to a flag officer like that? Riley reached for the cuff of her left sleeve and began rolling it up, slowly, deliberately. The movement revealed a forearm corded with lean muscle and scarred from what looked like shrapnel kisses. Then the ink appeared. A tiny, perfect rendering of the Special Operations Sniper badge, the crosshairs over the skull, surrounded by 7 service stripes and, beneath it, one word in Gothic script, Reapers. Every SEAL, Delta operator, and Marine Raider in the room recognized it instantly. The Reaper tab was only awarded to members of a unit so classified that even its official designation was redacted. Fewer than 30 living Americans wore that tattoo, and only one of them was a woman. Harlan's face went the color of printer paper. General Austin cleared his throat. Admiral, allow me to clarify. You are addressing Master Chief Special Warfare Operator Riley A. Quinn, Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 4 Bronze Stars with V, and more confirmed kills than anyone currently serving in the entire Department of Defense. She holds the equivalent civilian grade of GS 18 and direct reporting authority to the Secretary. In this room, son, she outranks you by about 3 miles of bad road. You could have heard a pin drop on carpet. Riley finished rolling the sleeve, buttoned it at the elbow, and picked up the coffee pot again. Cream and 2 sugars, right, Admiral? She asked sweetly. Harlan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. 6 months earlier, nobody would have imagined Riley Quinn anywhere near the Pentagon in civilian clothes. She had spent the last 21 years as the deadliest shadow in the United States inventory. Born in a dying coal town in West Virginia, she had enlisted at 17 with a forged birth certificate because both parents were gone, dad to black lung, mom to fentanyl, and the recruiter promised 3 hots and a cot. By 19, she was the only woman to ever ring the bell at the grueling Marine Scout Sniper School after the Corps reluctantly opened it to females. By 22, she was poached by Naval Special Warfare Development Group and vanished into the black. Her legend grew in places that never made the news. In Helmand, she took out a Taliban commander at 2,340 yards with a round that defied physics. In Syria, she spent 11 days in a sewer pipe to put one bullet through the eye of an ISIS executioner while he live-streamed a beheading. The Reaper unit she eventually commanded didn't officially exist, but enemies halfway across the planet started calling her Maut al-Banat, Death of Daughters, because entire terrorist bloodlines ended when she appeared on the target list. Then, in a night that still woke her screaming, everything changed. It was outside Raqqa. Her spotter, Petty Officer First Class Jamal Carter, 26 years old, father of twin girls, took a 14.5mm round through the scope that removed the top of his skull. Riley dragged what was left of him 3 kilometers through alleyways while returning fire with one hand and calling in airstrikes with the other. She got him out, but he died on the helo while she held what used to be his face together. The official report called it a successful exfiltration. Riley called it failure. She put in her papers the next week. 21 years, multiple continents of ghosts, and she was done. The Navy didn't want to let her go. Reapers don't just retire. But the president himself signed the separation orders after she looked him in the eye in the Oval Office and said, "Sir, I'm out of bullets for this war." They gave her a desk at Langley, a fat paycheck, and a mandate to build the next generation of long-range interdiction capabilities. She hated the desk. She hated the fluorescent lights even more, which brought her to this February morning and Admiral Harlan's smug face. After the coffee incident, Harlan tried damage control. He cornered her in the corridor outside the SCIF. "Master Chief, I didn't know. It's just Riley now, sir," she said, not slowing down. He jogged to keep up. "That was way out of line. I owe you a drink. Hell, I owe you a whole bottle of whatever you want." She stopped so abruptly he almost ran into her. "Admiral, the last man who owed me a drink ended up with my knife in his femoral artery in a safe house in Mogadishu. Let's not make this weird." Harlan swallowed hard and watched her disappear around the corner. Word spreads fast in the 5-sided wind tunnel. By noon, every inbox from Coronado to Bragg had the photo someone snuck of Harlan's face when the tattoo appeared. Memes exploded across classified networks. "When you flex on the Reaper and she flexes back." Riley pretended not to notice, but for the first time in years she smiled at something that wasn't a target package. 3 weeks later, everything went sideways again. A crisis flared in the South China Sea. A Marine Expeditionary Unit was pinned down on a disputed reef by a vastly superior PLA Navy task force. Satellites showed barrier missiles moving into position. The president needed options that wouldn't start World War III, options that didn't officially exist. General Austin called Riley into his office at 0200. "I need the Reapers," he said without preamble. "They're disbanded. You're not." She stared at him for a long 30 seconds. "I'm a civilian. You're whatever the hell I say you are when the country's on the line, Master Chief. Gear's already on the tarmac at Andrews. You'll have full operational authority. Pick your team." Riley felt the old familiar itch between her shoulder blades, the place where the crosshairs used to live. "Give me 12 hours, she said. 11 hours later, a blacked-out MC-130 lifted off with 6 shooters who had all come out of retirement the moment they heard her voice on the encrypted line. Their average age was 42. Their combined confirmed kills could fill a phone book. The mission was insane. Infiltrate mainland China, locate the mobile DF-21D battery that could turn the reef into glass, and neutralize it before the carrier strike group sailed into range. No one had ever pulled off a direct action raid that deep into Chinese territory. They launched from a submarine off Fujian, kayaked up a river under cover of typhoon rain, and disappeared into the mountains. For 9 days the world held its breath while diplomats screamed and carriers maneuvered. CNN talked about rising tensions. Only a handful of people knew American boots were already 300 miles inland. On the 9th night, Riley lay prone on a ridge slick with mud, staring through a scope at a missile launcher guarded by 2 platoons of PLA Special Forces. Wind, 14 knots left to right. Distance, 1,940 yards. Target. The battery commander standing under floodlights, smoking a cigarette like he hadn't ruined 1,000 American nights' sleep. Her spotter, a grizzled former Marine named Gunny Ruiz who had taught her to shoot 20 years earlier, whispered, "You sure you still got it, kid?" Riley's answer was the soft thump of a .300 Win Mag breaking the sound barrier. The commander dropped. The cigarette stayed lit for another 3 seconds before the body realized it was dead. Chaos erupted, but the Reapers were already gone, moving like ghosts through terrain they had memorized from satellite photos. By dawn they were on a fishing trawler headed for international waters, while behind them the entire Chinese missile base burned from secondary explosions. Riley had time to the second. When the MC-130 touched down at Kadena, Admiral Harlan was waiting on the tarmac with a Marine honor guard. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Riley stepped off the ramp in filthy multicam, cheeks still streaked with camo paint, carrying the same battered rifle that had ended the crisis. Harlan came to attention and snapped the sharpest salute of his life. "Master Chief Quinn," he said, voice cracking just a little. "On behalf of a grateful nation, welcome home." Riley returned the salute, then stuck out her hand. "You still owe me that drink, Admiral." 3 nights later, in a quiet steakhouse in Arlington, Harlan raised a glass of 30-year Pappy Van Winkle. "To the baddest woman on planet Earth," he toasted. Riley clinked her glass against his. "And to the Admiral who learned that rank isn't always measured in stars." They drank. Outside, snow began to fall on the Potomac, soft and silent, covering the tracks of ghosts who had come home one more time. Riley never went back to the Langley desk. They created a new billet just for her, strategic advisor for irregular capabilities, with an office that had windows and a door that locked from the inside. Young operators, men and women both, started making pilgrimages just to sit in her presence and listen to stories she mostly refused to tell. Sometimes late at night she would stand on the balcony and look across the river at the city lights, feeling the olditch fade into something quieter. She still carried the Reaper tattoo, but the skull seemed less like a warning now and more like an old friend who had finally let her rest. And every year on the anniversary of the Racconite, a single bottle of Pappy Van Winkle appeared on her desk with a card that simply read, "I still owe you one. Bulldog." She never found out how he got it past security. That's the story of the day a 4-star admiral mocked the wrong woman. And the country remembered that some heroes don't wear their rank on their collar. Now drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Texas, Pennsylvania, California, wherever you hold the flag high. Let me know what state or town raised you right, because this one was for every one of you. See you in the next one.